Hello, everyone. How are you today? My name is Samuel Ivanda, and I'm so much glad to be here again today to share with you information about your career, your business, your personal finance. So, today I want to share with you the mistakes that you need to avoid when it comes to your CV. Now, the CV is your representation to your next employer or the recruiter, and you have to do certain things that make it stand out. Now, these are mistakes that different people actually do that are not really good. Now, one of the mistakes that you should avoid is to use the same CV for every job. Now, using the same CV for every job means that you're going to miss out on the aspect of being able to position yourself as a candidate that uh, best represents what the recruiter is looking out for. Now, the recruiter has a job description, and most of the jobs have different job descriptions. Now, you cannot use the same CV for different job descriptions. Now, if you want to ensure that your CV is standing out, you have to ensure that you're tailoring your CV to the job description. So it's very important, and that's a mistake that you should really avoid. Avoid using the same CV. The other mistake that you should also avoid is including irrelevant information. Now, there is information that has not been requested by the recruiter, and even if you include it, it doesn't add any value to you. A case in example, you including, for example, your kindergarten, school, and primary education, and so on. This information is relevant because the recruiter is just looking at your recent education, is looking at education that is not going as far as your kindergarten. It doesn't add any value to you. One of the other things that you also need to avoid is some information that biases the recruiter. Now, usually it's advisable that if unless it is asked or unless you're applying to an organization that is religiously affiliated, your religion is not something that you need to include because you don't know the religion of the recruiter that is going to recruit. Sometimes because you want to write your biodata, so you're including religion and so on, some of this information is irrelevant and it may cost you your job. And sometimes some people also include their photos on their CVs. Now, this information, unless they have asked for a photo, but your photo may bias the recruiter. So make sure that you leave out such information. Don't make mistakes of including this information that is not really needed. The other mistake that, of course, other people make is doing a lot of editing on their CV, including colored font, going ahead to, of course, including colored fonts where they're trying to color everything different colors. It's not systematic. They also go ahead to use things like tables and so on. Now, some of those things are not compliant. We usually say are not ATSC compliant. Your CV is not just going to be read by humans. Some CVs are uploaded to systems, and these systems are the ones that evaluate these CVs. Now, you need to understand that an ATS compliant CV needs to be drafted in a totally different way than a CV that's going to be looked at by an individual. So things like tables, things like pictures, all those are not ATS compliant. And at the end of the day, when your CVs goes through such a system, you may not be able to pick up such kind of information. And even when similar to the ATS systems that evaluate the CVs, when you don't include keywords, there are keywords within a job description that should be able to come up in your CV. If, for example, the job requires somebody who should have, let's say, 7 years experience, at least within your CV, within, let's say, whatever section it is, that should be able to come up. And then also, one of the other mistakes that you should also avoid is not including critical sections. Now, we know very well that there are critical sections that you cannot do away with, and I've done several videos about CVs on this channel. You can find several of them, but including critical sections like your personal summary or professional summary, biodata, the skill set, when it comes to aspect of including your education background and so on. All these you need to understand the key sections on every CV. And if this is something that you really struggle, it's something that you can be able to we can be able to help you understand what are the key sections that you need on every CV. Maybe I will also do a video on that. The other aspect that you should also avoid on CVs, making your CV too long, too crowded with a lot of things, unnecessary things, things that are not even required, like certificates that are not even relevant to the job. There are many things that you're making it very detailed. You're making it a 10 page CV, and yet you only need is about 2 3 pages and so on, unless really this really adds up to your experience. If you have very few years in experience, your CV should not be very crowded. 10 pages is really a lot. Sometimes people even go ahead to include their certificates and so on, in terms of scanned documents, scanned copies of their certificates and so on. Somebody has asked for a CV. They have not asked for these documents. So don't include them unless they ask for them, because that's going to make your CV bulky. And believe me, it's not, it may not pass through the systems. There's a thing that sometimes people forget. Usually they will guide you and say you're going to share your CV in PDF or Word, and they even sometimes give you a capacity, maybe it doesn't should exceed 20 MBs. Now some people go ahead to share something that is of larger file. Now, the reason why they have told you something should not be of a higher, let's say, in terms of capacity, is because the systems uh, want a given kind of quantity in terms of capacity. So if your CV is of a huge, let's say, in terms of capacity, maybe it's 40 GB, but 40 MBs, sorry, and maybe they have asked you for 20 MBs. Believe me, you're making a mistake. It's not going to add up. So it's very important that you avoid certain mistakes within your CV, so that you don't make the recruiter throw or your CV. Ensure that you have a CV that looks very well. That you can be able to find different formats for CVs, and I usually have some of them, especially for people that reach out to me on aspects of CVs. Let your CV be appealing when someone looks at it. You're not just putting colors and so on, but the way it is arranged, the way the font is arranged, the way you put out your best in terms of your skills and your experience. When someone looks at your CV, they have about, let's say, 7 seconds to make judgment on your CV. Remember, somebody's looking at over 1,000 CVs. What is it going to make them look at your CV and have this kind of confidence that we need to bring this person on board? We need to invite them for an interview. One of the other mistakes that people make is on the aspect of grammatical errors. Your CV has a lot of grammatical errors, even for simple words. You need to avoid all these, because there are different tools that you can use, actually, like maybe Grammarly, to try to clear some of these errors. Get somebody to proofread your CV. Even you as an individual, proofread your CV to see where are some of the errors and remove them. Because when someone looks at your CV and sees these grammatical errors, they see you as an unserious person, and you don't want to portray this, because it's a competitive world. You want to ensure that anyone who looks at your CV is somebody who will see value in you, who will see that you understand exactly the aspect of attention to detail, and that's how you present it. So, friends, those are some of the, of course, the mistakes that you need to avoid when it comes to your CV. I usually do CV reviews for different people, and you can be able to reach out to see if we can be able to look at your CV and give you some feedback and see how you can improve your CV, so that you can increase your chances of being shortlisted. Because usually a job is advertised and thousands of people apply for some of these jobs. So what makes your CV stand out? It are some simple things that you sometimes take for granted. So I hope this is helpful. If this is your first time to be on this channel, I encourage you to subscribe and share this video with your friends. I would also like to know about your thoughts about these mistakes within the comment section. Share your experience and see how we can learn from each other. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best. Bye bye.